And good morning, participants. Today is day 5 of an ATAL FTP program. And as per the schedule, we have NCQ pattern assessment test by today afternoon by 2 p.m. And today we have an of the day. So our resource person is Jawahar Ganesh. An introduction about Jawahar Ganesh. Jawahar Ganesh has completed his B.Tech Information Technology at Karpam College of Engineering. He is currently working as a technical advisor with the developer web application development team at Microsoft. His specialized includes problem solving, quick learning, web application development, conversational AI, and debugging. He has worked with the technologies like ASP.NET, .NET Core, IIS, Azure Bot Services, Azure Signal R Services, Windows Azure Pack, and Azure Cognitive Services. He is an AMCAT certificate software developer trainee, AMCAT certificate software engineer IT services, and AMCAT service software engineer product since 2014 of September. We are proud to have Mr. Jawahar Ganesh as a resource person for this 5 days at FTP. I would like to hand over this session to Jawahar Ganesh. And it's over to you, Jawahar Ganesh.
Thanks a lot, sir, for that nice introduction. And hello, everyone. I'm really privileged meeting you virtually, of course, and having got this opportunity to share on this interesting topic. Can you see my screen and can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. So, and you can see my screen, right?
Yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Thank you. So, happy morning. And I know this is a Friday morning, so and I am 100% sure this whole week was full of a lot of learning and all that. So today we'll kind of see a little bit about, according to me, what are all the different opportunities and challenges that are there when it comes to blockchain technology. I would want to start with this hypothetical situation. Consider we are playing a game called Game of Common Goods. I have this friend of mine who's a neighbor who actually is my next door neighbor. He's an economist. And because of this lockdown, we kind of keep having this balcony or terrace talks in the morning or evening. So I stand in my home balcony and he will stand in his home balcony and we'll kind of speak for about like 10-15 minutes every day. And he keep giving me these kind of interesting analogies or examples. So I would want to kind of make use of one of those to kind of set the context for today's this presentation. So consider we are playing this game called Game of Common Goods. Let's say 10 people are there and the rules are very simple. At the beginning of every single day, each one of the participant, each one of those 10 participants will get 10 rupees. And there is a magical pot which is there in this game. So how much ever they want to contribute to that magical pot, out of those 10 rupees, each participant can do. For example, if I have 10 rupees, I can put either the whole 10 rupees inside the pot, or I can keep something for myself and then maybe put 5 rupees in that pot, or I can decide not to put anything inside that magical pot. But why we call it magical pot is how much ever money that we put inside that magical pot quadruples. For example, if I put 10 rupees, it will become 40 rupees. And at the end of the day, how much ever the money that the magical pot generated will be equally divided amongst all the 10 participants. 10 players who are playing this game. So consider first day, everyone decided to put 10 rupees inside that pot. What would happen? 100 rupees into 4, 400 divided by 10, every participant will get 40 rupees, right? Yeah, 10 into 10, yeah. 100 into 4, 400, every participants will get 40 rupees. And this scheme continues, let's say for 4 days or 5 days. And one day, one fine day, one of those participants who's playing this game becomes greedy. So he decides not to put 10 rupees. He decides not to put even a single rupee inside that magical pot. So what would happen? 9 people placed 90 rupees into the pot, and 9 into 4, which is 36, right? Yeah, 9 into 4 is 36. So 360 rupees divided by 4. So, every participant will get, I'm kind of a little bit weak in math, but every participant in the game will get 36 rupees, right? So now everyone who kind of placed 10 rupees got 40 rupees back. The person who did not place any money inside the pot got still got 36 rupees back, and he had his 10 rupees also. So he earned a little. He earned 46 rupees out of the whole game on that day where he became greedy. But guess what would happen the very next day when you are a participant in that game and you find out, okay, there is one person who did not contribute to this game. So because of that, I took a loss. I got 4 rupees less for today. So what would happen the very next day? No one who's playing this particular game will decide to participate, to basically put any money. So the very next day, from that day onwards, like instead of earning 40 rupees, everyone will earn just 10 rupees, right? So the reason I kind of started with this small analogy is we live in a society, or we live in a model which is built on top of trust. And it's very easy to build trust, very hard to build trust. And it's very easy. It just takes one mistake or just takes one vulnerable moment to kind of lose the complete trust, right? Think about all those practices and conventions that we have these days. Let's start with an example of handshake, right? So we don't do handshakes these days because of the COVID-19 situation. But when you go look up, what was the reason behind the specific custom or ritual of handshake, right? When did this actually started? So you will kind of find out that it actually started in the ancient times when leaders of two groups or leaders of two kingdoms meet with each other. Shaking hand actually gives an assurity that the person is not carrying any weapon with them. So that's kind of something to establish trust in a meeting. Same way, think about clinking of glasses when someone drinks, right? So it is about when you go and look up why that ritual started. Like why do people clink glasses before drinking water or juice or drinks or whatever it is? The reason is it started again as a practice of trust only. In ancient times, it is basically when clinking the glasses, they make sure that a little drop of whatever they are drinking fall on other person's glass, so that they will get that trust that the person is not trying to poison me or him or her, whatever it is. So like a lot of things that we do these days, and basically our very existence in this society builds on top of trust. And the trust, right? If you look at how things work these days, the trust is not something which is just mine, right? Because the society's trust becomes my trust. The trust of a group of people, a trust of others becomes my trust. Consider a situation where you would want to buy maybe let's say tomorrow you would want to buy a refrigerator for your house. What would you do? the first thing that we will do, at least I will do, most of us, most of us can kind of agree with me. We'll do is we'll go open up different websites and then try to read reviews for the product that we are trying to buy, right? And then maybe if we buy it online in an e-commerce platform, or if we go visit the store, currently because of the situation we don't visit, but even when there is no COVID, when we visit, right? So before visiting, before making the decision, we'll go through the experience that other people had, like other trusted people had for that specific product. We go through the 5-star rating, the reviews, and it's very difficult, right, to get a 5-star review, 5-star rating when thousands of people have purchased it and have used it. So that consensus, right, that the trust of a group of people becomes our trust. So because let's say 1,000 other people have bought the product and have given a 5-star rating, then we trust that, okay, that product might work well. So I am going to go buy that product. It's not just for buying, right? It can be even for things that matter the most to us. For things like okay, I would want a babysitter for my kid, right? So when we go try to find a babysitter, the first thing that we look for is verified reviews that are there in the online platform or the agency that we are looking for, and we choose a person and we decide that a person is trustworthy because 1,000 other people or 10,000 other people have approved or have given a credit to that person, that this person is trustworthy, this person is good. We place our life in hands of doctors, and we choose doctors and hospitals based on the review. So these days our trust is because of collective trust of some other people, right? So today, we all know we are going to discuss about blockchain, and we all know that the blockchain is kind of something that's built on the very concept of, its core is this very concept of decentralized trust, right? So with that, a little bit introduction. I'm not going to kind of explain, or we are not going to discuss throughout the session about what is blockchain, what is the technologies and algorithms and implementations behind blockchain and all that, because I'm 100% sure all of you might have read about it a lot, and in the past 4 days you might have heard about it, you might have learned about it a lot. So what we are going to discuss in the next maybe 80 minutes or so is what opportunities presents for blockchain, and what could be the challenges of blockchain as of today, and what might be the challenges that might raise in the future for the blockchain technology, according to my views and my thoughts, right? So it's more of brainstorming about where blockchain can be used and what could be the challenges. With that little pre-context, we started the conversation with trust, right? So I would want to kind of little bit build upon that concept, right? So our global economy itself, if you think of it, it is built on top of, I would say, incalculable, that's the right word to use, incalculable number of small cross-organizational transactions. Think about a situation, think about, let's say you're drinking a cup of coffee in the morning, right? And think about the ingredients of coffee: sugar, coffee powder or coffee beans, milk, right? It comes from different places. And if you look at from the actual producer of those end products, or even those end products might have some ingredients. So the actual producers of those ingredients, to the processing of those end products, to how it kind of landed in your cup of coffee, it's a kind of you will find a lot of not countable number of small transactions which are cross-organizational, which are between multiple individuals, multiple parties, or multiple organizations themselves. let's say even from your property purchases to if you have an industrial supply chain that you're taking care of, to or a finance trade, right? So everything, these are some small simple examples, but everything that you think about, they rely on informational exchanges between two parties or between two organizations. And when there is any exchange or when there is any transaction that happens between two parties, two individuals or organizations, it can only be delivered when there is trust among them, right? I wouldn't give someone 1,000 rupee or someone my check leaf with some money into it unless and until I trust that person, right? But the challenge that we have today is, even though this trust is very critical to this business, as we know, it's kind of very hard to establish that trust. And that's the very reason a lot of people who want to go out into the market and try something new, even when they have a lot of good ideas, they kind of tend to fail initially, because getting and building up that trust is very, very difficult. And we have a lot of methods to build trust these days, but all those current methods, according to me, are some of the friends or people that I interact with, it's kind of adds friction by design itself. Now, in your screen, right, we see in our screen we see two distinct methods of building trust. Right, one is either you go and manually verify the trust. You go and manually check every single party that is involved in your supply chain, that is involved in your product or in your ecosystem, to manually verify that they are trustworthy and the transactions that are happening place is very trustworthy. Or you use a third party which both the organizations trust, like use a third party like a bank or something of that sort, which every party involved trusts, and so that it becomes it's not your duty to go and verify the trust manually. But both of these methods kind of adds a little bit of friction when it comes to design. For example, the transactions that we make, when I actually, you can see it's very easy to transfer money from one account to the other account, but when you actually look into the kind of algorithms or processes involved in verifying that the actual money, I have that much amount of money in my account, that is true, and then the other person's account is valid, and that's also true, and the amount of processing that happens to make sure that the money that I transfer reaches the next person correctly, it kind of this validations kind of slows down the transactions until it kind of gets validated, verified. And also, when you have an intermediary, or even when you want to go and manually verify the trust, it kind of increases costs by adding steps that might have been avoided. I wouldn't call them as unnecessary steps, but steps that could have been avoided, that are oftentimes very complicated, in first place itself. And also, despite we taking this much amount of problem. Sorry.
Raja, you can continue.
Okay.
Someone, they have unmuted their mic. You can continue.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Despite we taking this much amount of trouble in verifying or in maintaining the trust, right? We cannot call these processes are infallible, that these processes are 100% trustworthy, because we still see, despite taking this much amount of measures, we still see a lot of banking frauds. We still see a lot of frauds. We still see a lot of failures in the processes, right? So when you I'll begin with enterprises, and then maybe slowly come to the other sectors. So when it comes to enterprises, right? So they kind of there is a need today to move from these slow and costly processes to a method that kind of reduces cost for them, saves time, and also lowers the risk of failures, lowers the risk of fraud, And then, but when you think of all these, right, blockchain is the method that you can kind of recognize as the technology that can deliver all these points. In fact, if you follow Gartner, they forecast that the total business value of blockchain will be $176 billion in the next 5 years. And if you follow Keystone Research, they estimated that $50 to $100 business of technology value capture only in one specific country, which is US, across different industries. Now, but how exactly this blockchain, like we spoke a lot about trust, and then we said that we also kind of spoke about how exactly why blockchain is considered as something that is trustworthy, or that can kind of give build on top of this decentralized trust. But how exactly does this blockchain improve these trust building measures, right? And then we all know that blockchain is something that revolutionized the establishment of trust. How? It acts as a secure and shared source of trust that exists between cross-party organizations. And we all know, we might have got this analogy or example that this is, consider it as a ledger of record of every transactions. But what's very important is it stores a record of every transactions, similar to how records are stored in spreadsheets. But what is so unique is this typical, but unlike a typical spreadsheet that we use, everyone in the blockchain network has their own identical copy of this lecture. And if someone wants to update the record, before any transaction gets added, altered, or deleted, every network member must agree to that change. Because of that, it gives that unique characteristics of immutability, and that makes it theoretically impossible to fraudulently alter data, since it kind of builds on top of the consensus, the very consensus that we were talking about, right? I would want to go buy something, I would look for a review, right? So the shared decentralized trust of people implied to me as my own trust. So by providing a platform for this cross-platform consensus is the key for blockchain that can help many sectors, many industries, or even enterprise to ensure that the data is always telling the truth. Because consider the situation: how many of you trust some news that you see in your let's say in your social media feed right away, right? You wouldn't, unless and until you go validate yourself. Why is that? Because we do not trust data as it is, because of so many frauds that happens online. Now, if we can make sure that we have a platform that kind of builds on top of this cross-platform, cross-party consensus, then we can trust data is always telling us the truth, right? And how to do that, right? So that immutability that we talked about is kind of very crucial. As I kind of mentioned, we'll start with enterprises, right? And then we'll kind of slowly go to different sectors and different examples and maybe different opportunities that we will have. But when you think of an enterprise, right? So this immutability that we talked about in particular is what kind of becomes crucial when addressing multiple specific business needs. Because as we know, everything is built on trust. So even enterprises and their processes and their businesses kind of builds on top of trust. For example, the very first need is when a business process creates trust boundaries, which is basically, if I am a big enterprise company and I would want my process, let's say I'm manufacturing a product, a complete product, then that would involve me talking to 10 different organizations or multiple different teams inside my organizations itself. And those multiple groups or multiple parties might have potentially conflicting interests, be it customers or companies or even internal departments. But to be able to make their product success, they all must work together despite their potentials or potential conflicts. They want to work together to exchange assets or information. Such processes are often critical, to a business. But if you think, right, they can take place without first building a sense of trust between the parties, then I'll call it naive. And the second condition is when multiple parties share or update the same data. These instances can often devolve into too many hands in a cooking jar situation. When roles are ill-defined and too many actors have too many permissions on the data that is shared and that's being worked upon by multiple parties at the same time. And the third blockchain is especially useful for instances where intermediaries are currently used as trust brokers. As we have already discussed, intermediaries introduce friction by design to give them time to validate the trustworthiness of a transaction. Replacing them with a system that offers immutability by its nature removes the need for that friction. And finally, blockchain is equally valuable when replacing the slow, inefficient manual verification steps that we talked about earlier. Now, let's take a look at some of the use case examples, right? When blockchain can be used in where blockchain can be used in various industries when it comes to enterprises. So, like you'll see a lot in this slide, right? But the use cases of blockchain are by no means limited to just the financial services industry, right? Because when people think about blockchain, always the notion comes to mind, okay, that's the technology behind Bitcoin, or that's the technology behind cryptocurrency. So yes, it might shoot financial industries or financial services industries, but that's not that's not. But what in the past 4 days you would have understood is it's not just limited to financial services industry, right? All industries have processes are basically built on things that requires trust. For example, when looking at these use cases that you see in your screen, you'll see kind of three primary patterns that comes out of when you look at all these applications that are spanning across industries. Maybe it asset tracking in your manufacturing or automated underwriting form that's very much needed these days in your insurance sector, or maybe copyrights issue when it comes to government or public sector organizations, or maybe record sharing when it comes to healthcare, right? So any application that you talk about, that you think about, that you look at in what is there in my screen, you could kind of see there is three interesting patterns kind of emerge. It is one thing is asset transfer, right? When there is a need for me to transfer something from one organizational boundary or from one group, one party of trust to another party of trust or another organization, or cross-organizational workflow, where I have multiple organizations or multiple teams working together with potential conflicts of interest, working to build a product or working on some workflow. Or it can be something like, how can I make sure that the processes are 100% perfect? How can I audit with utmost assurance or with 100% assurance that whatever is being done is pitch perfect and there is no need or no reason for a fault or no reason for a failure or no reason for a fraud, right? So these might be the three high-level use cases where your blockchain can offer the utmost promise. Now, which use case you want to solve if you are thinking about creating or working in a blockchain-based solution, then that can help you figure out how best you can use a blockchain solution. So, and to make it even easier, right? So we discussed about three different patterns or three different broad use cases. Now, when you think of any of these use cases, the kind of applications that kind of might arrive out of these three different use cases can be kind of easily categorized or kind of identified as either workflow applications or exchange applications. Workflow applications is kind of applications that are that kind of streamlines your linear workflows. That is basically, It's like a supply chain, right? You know what happens next. It's kind of linear, right? So you know these this kind of streamlines, these kind of applications kind of streamline your cross-party workflows by checking the transactions automatically against some pre-agreed network rules, right? What we call as smart contracts, right? And the other kind of application is exchange applications, where you do not really know what is going to happen next. The workflow is non-linear. Consider an example of the very our own financial like currency or a stock market. So these kind of applications that builds on top of blockchain kind of helps us in tracking the precise exchange of ownership of assets in a currency industry, ownership of currency in the stock exchange industry, ownership of stock, and the transfer of the value related to the stocks as the like in a non-linear path, but just making sure that we securely track that precise exchange of ownership. So these are the broad identification of the applications that are going to be that are being built, I would say, and that are also going to prevail for a long time going forward. Right? Think of this scenario. I would keep kind of when I kind of speak about these things that are that are the future, or that could be that could play a better part in the future, right? I always kind of think about going back in the past and trying to understand where we were and where we are today. Um, if I go back, let's say 20 years from now, 2000, right? And I think I was a 6 year or 7 year old boy at that particular point in time, maybe doing my primary school at that particular point in time in the year 2000. But when I think about how we used to start the day in the year 2000, right? It's kind of very interesting. My mom will wake up, and the first thing after waking up, she will go out of the door to fetch the newspaper and the milk that got delivered to our house. And on the way inside, she'll have a quick look at the newspaper, that day's headlines, which is actually previous day's news, right? Not that day's news, because newspaper that gets printed on the previous night. That's not near real time news. So she'll look into the newspaper, peek into the newspaper very quickly, and then she'd go to kitchen and try to prepare coffee for me and my dad. And if I think of my dad, the first thing that after he wakes up, he goes to the he'll go to the hall and then look into the living room and look into the newspaper, maybe quickly read the read the news for that particular day. And after that, he'll have that coffee that my mom prepares, and after that he'll go and help my mom with maybe cooking, or he'll come wake me up and then help me with my homework or getting me ready to go to school. And what I will do as a kid on that day, during that time, is the first thing that I will do after waking up is I'll kind of look into the journal, which is basically my diary of my school, and to see what is my homework for that day, and kind of go start doing the homework, right? But after 20 years, it's a matter of 20 years, right? After 20 years, if I think about how we start our day today, right? My mom wakes up, and the first thing she does is she looks into her mobile phone to see what the news is all about and what's happening in her friend circle in social media or in messaging platforms. And my dad does exactly the same thing. Like he wakes up, the first thing that he does is again his mobile phone. And think about me, the first thing that I do after waking up is again mobile phone, to look into what are all the different meetings that I have scheduled in my calendar, what are all the different people that I am meeting, where and all I'm speaking, where and all I have to be prepared. And then I'll start kind of preparing, and in the meantime I'll also watch news, etc. Right? So in a matter of 20 years, the way we look and the way we live has drastically changed with the help of technology, with the help of technological advancements. And back in that time, right, I still remember the first computer that I got. I think it was in the year 2005 or something, and where I was like 10, 11 years old. And my dad got it for his own business work and all that. But I used to get 1 hour dedicated time to work in computer, and they used to call it computer time. So not that I would do anything productive with that computer. I used to play games, maybe do something in Paint, watch videos like animated, those cool animated videos those days that used to come in a CD drive, right? So but if I think about today, right, virtually our life is kind of connected with connected devices. Almost more than 18 hours a day, we are connected with different devices. We share a lot of like our work, a lot of our productivity. We depend on those devices a lot, right, these days. And if you're going to think about, okay, in next 20 years, right, these technologies like the advancements in your AI, the advancements in technologies like this, like blockchain, can have a very, very crucial part in the way how we are going to live, right? So today we want everything to be smart, right? I want my alarm clock to be smart, for example. My alarm clock needs to connect with my Outlook calendar, with my Exchange. So to find out what is the first meeting that I have today, my first meeting is coming and delivering a session for these cool academics, cool professors from different colleges across India about blockchain, right? So it needs to find out the first meeting that I have that day and wake me up maybe 1 hour before that meeting so that I'll get enough time to get ready. And by the time I wake up, I need my alarm clock to sync up with my water heater, with my geyser, so that the moment I wake up, I'll have my water ready so that I can shower. And also, I want my geyser to connect with my coffee machine so that the moment I get out of my restroom and get ready, I'll have a steaming cup of coffee ready with the style that I like to be prepared. And I want my coffee machine to connect, to speak to my TV, so that the moment I pick up my glass of coffee and then walk into my living room, my TV needs to switch on and navigate to the channel that I like, so that I can spend my morning with the show that I would like to see, morning coffee with the show that I like to see. So we want everything to be smart. We want everything to be intelligent, but at the same time, we also want everything to be secure and everything to be trustworthy. And we want to know, for example, increasing awareness we are increasingly aware of what we consume, what we buy, and what we use these days. It's especially wanting to know where that came from. For example, if I like today, if I want to have, let's say, idli for breakfast, I'm kind of very curious about the way my rice is processed, where it was manufactured, where did it come from, right? And these things are going to define how we are going to operate in the future. And I would just kind of want to give you a very simple example of, how cool it would be if we can quickly go and track where, if I'm drinking a coffee, where my coffee bean got manufactured, and what are all the different places that it traveled throughout the world to reach my cup of coffee, right? And yes, someone actually did that, and that's exactly what we're going to see. And I think you can see, you can hear my audio. Otherwise, I will kind of reshare. Okay, just a minute.
Now, I want to bring us home to another iconic brand that's right out of Seattle. In fact, it got started a few.
You can hear my computer audio.
Expanding beyond the Seattle offices and coffee shops to its vast supply chain, which starts with over 380,000 farms in nearly 30 countries. Starbucks recently previewed at its annual shareholders meeting a new digital transparency feature for customers. With this feature, I can use my phone to scan a code on the bag of coffee to see an immutable record of the coffee's history stored on Azure blockchain service. With this, customers can see, let me just get this up. Yeah, so with this, you can see that we can see where the coffee beans were grown, startup support efforts for farmers in those regions, when and where the beans were roasted, tasting notes, and more. Startup's ambition is to use this technology to provide greater empowerment for coffee farmers as coffee drinkers better understand where the coffee comes from and who grows it. With Azure Blockchain Service, data can be real-time and transparent. As you've seen, so much of startup business is being transformed by digital technology.
Right. So the app that you just saw on the screen, right? That lets the supply chain participants track the coffee bean movements, right? That shows as an end customer, I can see where my coffee came from, and most importantly, this application provides those small farmers who who manufacture or who produce the coffee beans with a proof of their in-purchase from Starbucks that they can use to get high-quality loans from a very trusted loan parties instead of some predatory lenders, because 97% of the suppliers of this for this specific brand are small hold or 1 acre farmed harvest, and this is not simply to track and then trace where the coffee came from, right? It's about the empowerment of a lot of people in the cloud. For example, starting with the smallhold farmers that they have on the network, the blockchain solution kind of checks to make sure the beans are produced according to the specific organic and fair trade conditions using the smart contracts. From there, the condition and the state of the beans are verified as they move from carriers to manufacturers and then by distributors to various outlets owned by Starbucks. And then at the purchase, of course, I can view the certifications associated with the coffee as well as information about where my coffee came from. Right? This is one simple example of how blockchain can drastically improve trust when it comes to customers. Also can support those people who are the center of everything, who are the producers of the critical services, or producers of goods that we consume day to day, right? And that's a little bit about how blockchain can empower, right? A small example of what exists today. But if I think about various other industries that I kind of look upon, I come from a background, or I come from a family of with a tradition of handloom textile business, manufacturing, and all that. So as a kid growing up, seeing my ancestors kind of manufacture the handloom textile and all that, we no longer are in business, but I'm kind of very fond of this industry, textile industry. And when you look at the textile industry, there are a lot of key prominent challenges that exist today. The first challenge is, how do you protect the brand that you have against counterfeits, right? Let's say we might be very passionate about one particular brand and we trust one particular brand, but there are 100 other brands, 100 other people in the market trying to manufacture counterfeit products, right? That looks like that brand, and that's kind of a fraud product for that particular brand. So, and this blockchain can easily help in protection against those counterfeit products. And the second problem is paying the royalty when it comes to manufacturing or design related to textile industry. If I am a fashion designer, or if I design, let's say in this example of handloom, and I am the designer designing the designs of a sari that people manufacture, I need, it's very difficult these days to get royalty for what I created, because there is no centralized, or there is, I would not say centralized, there is no system that kind of can automatically take care of my royalty and can give me what I actually owe if I am a designer designed handloom sarees or any other piece of textile. So this blockchain doesn't, if you create a solution using blockchain, it instead of not only allows the design people to create proof that their concepts and ideas in fact belong to them, but also it can, and also of course monetize them, but also it can help. If I'm a big manufacturer of textile, it can help my company to manage and carefully verify that all the transactions that I do, basically all the money that I pay to the designers kind of go out via smart contracts, right? Very integrated way. And then, of course, the supply chain tracking, so that I, as a manufacturer, a producer, will get insights on, okay, I produced a piece of cloth, I produced a saree today, let's say 1 year back, where exactly the saree is being sold today, and how much is the profit that different parties are making in the pipeline, so that so that I get what I actually owe for creating that beautiful piece of art, right? And also giving that market insights for the producers, so that they know, okay, this piece of market, kind of this piece of India, or this specific country kind of likes my products more. So maybe I might need to go and leverage that situation to my profit, right? Giving that critical market insights for the end producers as well as for the consumers. For me as a consumer, if I go, let's say, walk into a store tomorrow in some other country, and if I find all I find is made in India, right? Sometimes or made in some other country. But if I kind of get to know which part of the India, which manufacturer produced this great piece of cloth that I am wearing, then I can also kind of benefit out of that knowledge, and I can also kind of try to endorse them and try to help them more, right, by purchasing with them directly also. So that giving that market insights, that's also kind of very crucial when it comes to a textile industry. Switching gears, we cannot forget about agriculture living in India, right? Because a major part of our GDP depends upon India, and agriculture is the talk of the town even today, right? And when you think of agriculture, a lot of problems or challenges that persist today in this industry can easily be solved using the blockchain. The first thing is the food safety, right? There is a statistics that says 48 million illnesses caused in a year are because of food contamination, or because of foodborne, or because of things going wrong with what we consume as food, right? So this blockchain can help in bringing that transparency to the supply chain, so that it allows us to identify, remove things that are unsafe, or people that are doing poor processing and things like that. And also it kind of ensures the ideal conditions for us to bring the product from farm to market. And also if something goes wrong, we'll be able to easily pinpoint, okay, this is the source that caused the problem. Let's say, for example, there is all of a sudden there is something goes wrong with 100 different people in 100 different parts of India consuming some specific piece of food, some specific, let's say, snack, right? The authorities or health officials be able to easily kind of pinpoint, okay, where is the problem, and from where the problem came from, and also will be able to easily track down who and all might have also consumed that specific piece of snack, so that they can also easily identify people, track down the people, right? So that visibility, that access kind of can help people when it comes to food safety. And the second thing is traceability, right? So we always like to buy things that are grown near to us, right? I love I love these Goa fruits that kind of gets manufactured in a farm that's near my house here in Coimbatore. Right, we all like to consume food products that are created, produced, and manufactured near to us, because it's always kind of described as, you know exactly where your food comes from and who grew that food, and you know it's fresh, right? And what if we could make this happen at a big scale, meaning no matter where you bought your food from, you know, not only where it came from, but also when it was harvested, when it was processed, and who exactly produced it. So this could go far from preventing food fraud, false labeling of food, food safety, and also kind of avoid that middlemen who are redundant to this process. And then if you're a farmer, you'll also know logistics. It's like a logistical chain has a lot of challenges when it comes to farming. And having something like this, having a technology which is blockchain built technology can kind of, help a lot, because agricultural products kind of have a very short lifetime. Unlike like the hardware or software or any other product that you manufacture, you cannot have tomato or your rice or things that you grow hanging in for the shelf for years to come, right? So it has a very short shelf life, and also it needs to have certain conditions that needs to be met in high quantity, so that so that they kind of stay safe. So those things can easily be assured by using a technology which is built on top of your blockchain, so that everyone will know, okay, from the farm, this particular tomato needs to be transported using this much temperature, and if the temperature is met, then the logistical partner, the transport partner, is going to get paid. Otherwise, he's not going to get paid. The mistakes kind of will end then and there itself, right? So that's another kind of an area where I see a lot of opportunity when it comes to this specific industry. We also have, let's say, something that we are all fond of, right, which is your education. In education, a lot of we all learn by doing things, right? We all like to be a little hands-on, and also we also like a little incentives for our learning. Consider the example of our certification platform that we have. Not the platform, but the process itself that we have. Why do people kind of why that certification is something which kind of excites a lot of us, is because it gives us an incentive, which is, okay, a certificate that I can showcase that I'm an expert, or I'm a beginner at this particular technology or this particular concept. And I can also use that certificate to establish that, okay, I'm like, you can trust me because I have got this certificate from that trusted party, right? So there is an increasing amount of gamification that comes up, that are being done in your education industry these days, right? And when it comes to gamification, right, what other technology can be best suited other than blockchain, right? It can kind of help giving that incentives, that incentivization when it comes to learning and gamification, right? So blockchain can kind of easily help in that. And the second thing is the biggest headache that we have is the frauds that happen in education industry. If you are a recruiter, if you want to hire a talent, and then you do not just want to hire someone just because they say that they have done that specific course in an industry. You would need to kind of these days a lot of a lot of companies or a lot of people, when it comes to hiring, they kind of spend a lot of their time, efforts, and also money to verify that the legitimacy of the certificates and legitimacy of the skills that a candidate presents when they come and sit for an interview, or when a candidate presented during the time of interview, once they decide the candidate is the best suited for this job. So when we are using blockchain as a technology and building solutions on top of these, right? So it kind of eases that, and it also eliminates that extra hassle in verifying and validating things when it comes to education, and especially when it comes to education plus job kind of search industry. And think about philanthropy. For an example, right? I can keep thinking of, I can keep speaking about so many different areas and my views on how blockchain can help. So, but I'll just kind of restrict it to maybe one or two more examples, and maybe quickly move on to what could be those challenges that can kind of present itself when it comes to blockchain, right? So let's think about maybe philanthropy. right? When you want to, like, we make a lot of donations these days to a lot of non-profit organizations, or we even kind of do a lot of crowdsourced donations. For example, we keep getting a lot of emails, messages, or calls related to people who are in very, very urgent need of money because of their medical expenses, and then we go ahead and spend that money, right? And we know that money is going to that specific person using some of those platforms. But consider the donations that we make, just like in a general purpose to someone. How can I track how much amount of money that I paid spent where? Let's say if I make a donation to someone, to some agency, or to some organization that says, we will take care of education of rural kids. How can I kind of make sure that, okay, I paid, let's say, 1,000 rupees to that organization. How much of my money got spent where, to what benefit, right? That tracking, for that kind of transparency is going to be possible when it comes to, blockchain related functionalities. Then healthcare. The one bigger example is the vaccine, right? So the generations, like when it comes to this, this pandemic kind of situation. So we know, let's say a vaccine needs to be transported. It needs to have certain very ideal conditions. Let's say the vaccine that are currently being used needs to be, I think, in minus 70 degrees Celsius, if I'm not wrong. I might have to look up if my memory serves correct. Yeah. So then, do we have that kind of an infrastructure when it is getting transported, when it is getting stored, so that we avoid, so that we avoid kind of catastrophe because of things that can go wrong during the transit and during the handling and manufacturing of these vaccines, right? So in healthcare industry also, it kind of can play a lot of good role, right? So the opportunities are kind of endless when it comes to technologies and solutions that you can build on top of blockchain. But all you need is a very deeper understanding of the problem that you're trying to solve, and how you can kind of make use of blockchain to eliminate what is there, eliminate the challenges that's there out today, right? And when we think of building a blockchain application or using a blockchain application these days, there might be what I see, my personal views as challenges are, number one, still a lot of there is this false consumption around blockchain among a lot of people. For example, if you ask someone who might not be aware that much about blockchain, if you kind of stop them and ask what is blockchain, then they might say it's something related to cryptocurrency, and it's something like, and that notion, okay, something that's it's something bad or it's something evil, kind of still exists. That stigma is there in certain parts of the world, and with certain people, right? With a lot of people, I would say. So the first and foremost challenge is how to kind of build that trust about this blockchain itself among people, right? For that, I remember this interesting story that I read some time back. It's about this lady. Her name is Bertha. Okay, and her husband created an something like this happened a long time back, but created something which is like a car, right? In those times where it's only bullock carts are used for the transport between cities or between different places. So he created that automatic kind of an automobile, which is like a car, but no one kind of paid attention to it because people thought it will not work, and a lot of press media, they did not really give that much attention to that technology, or to the product that this person built. So what this lady Bertha did was very interesting. One fine day morning, she took two of her kids. She took two of her kids, both her kids, and she wrote a letter, a note, and then kept to her husband, saying that, okay, I am taking the kids, and then I'm going for a trip to my mom's home, and I'll be back after some time. And then she took that vehicle, that automobile vehicle that her husband created, and it was a long trip, I think 40 miles if I'm not wrong. And it took her almost one whole day to reach from her house to her mom's house. And she drove that automobile and went, and they had to stop in multiple places to buy chemicals so that, to repair and then to make that automobile running. But the day after she kind of drove it completely to her mom's house and then stopped the vehicle, the world turned to her. The complete media now know that, okay, this is possible, and you can go from one place to the other place with much lesser, effort from your side. And people, it caught people's attention. And if I tell the full name of that lady, then you'll possibly understand, get who she is. Her full name is Bertha Benz, and she's the wife of the person who invented the car, Benz car, right? So that kind of establishing trust is needed when it comes to about blockchain is needed among policymakers, among critical decision makers, to kind of make this reality, or to make this technology a successful technology. So that's the first kind of challenge that I see. And the second challenge is those related to sustainability, because a lot of this blockchain networks needs a lot of processing power, and the processing power comes up with a lot of electric power, and then that would kind of then internally translate to a lot of carbon emissions that happens in this world. So how are we going to take care of that, minimizing the trouble when it comes to when it comes to using the processing power or using the electric power? That's another challenge that possibly people might have in the future, or even it started now itself, to optimize this technology so that it uses less power, or it kind of emits less carbon footprint when it comes to this green planet that we live these days. And the third challenge, you might have heard about this a lot, is about scalability, but I'm kind of very confident that this can easily will be fixed in the future, which is how to kind of make sure you when the network, when your blockchain network grows, how exactly will you make sure that the transactions that do scales itself, becomes faster rather than getting slow, right? Consider a payment network. When there are, let's say, 10,000 nodes attached to a blockchain network, then we would want the transactions to be 10,000 times faster rather than getting slower. How are we going to achieve that with the current logic and the current algorithms that we have when it comes to getting that consensus, right? And I believe I know a lot of research is being done in that specific area, and some of you might also be doing some of those key research that's needed to kind of scale this technology when it comes to ensuring the scalability of this specific technology. And then the last challenge that I kind of foresee is the complexity that kind of involves in terms of building a blockchain technology, a blockchain solution for your need. Because one thing, definitely it needs a very deeper understanding of how the process works. Basically, the process or the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So how very deeply, how exactly that problem, how exactly the process works. For example, if I'm trying to build a blockchain-based solution for, let's say, underwriting requirement of an insurance agency, then I need to kind of have a very deep understanding of how things work when it comes to underwriting in a insurance sector and insurance industry. Without that, it's kind of very difficult to come up with smart contracts and come up with technologies, the building blocks of the blockchain. So that having the domain knowledge is one thing. And the second thing, very crucial thing, is building an end-to-end blockchain application, right? It's a huge undertaking these days. Because The strength of the blockchain lies in its ability to automatically validate transactions against some agreed business logic, what we call as smart contracts. So now, because of that, the developers would want to spend a lot of time in writing that business logic to develop smart contracts. Yes, agreed. You need to write business logic because every single business is different. But other than that business logic, there are also other dozen of steps, a couple of dozens of steps that you would want to perform in getting to this working, which is what we see in the screen, right? From manually deploying a ledger to managing the processing, storing, building integrations with respect to the different parties that are involved, and then creating clients, web-based clients, so that they can interact seamlessly with these ledgers, with these different parties and more. So now, when you are a developer, when you want to create this kind of a solution, you get buried in the task of creating a whole infrastructure itself. And if you kind of then spend that time in creating a whole infrastructure, then again, plus writing a whole logic, that kind of becomes very, very difficult, right? So it's very important for people to have a way to make this blockchain accessible. Think of this. Today, we say AI is democratized, right? Because when you think of few years back, if you have to create, let's say, a natural language processing engine, some of you might have done research in NLP-based technology. So if you want to create an NLP-based engine, which does a very simple task of similar to transcripting what person speaks, right? When I speak, I would want automatic transcriptions to be done. If that kind of an engine needs to be built, right, it would take a lot of researchers, a lot of months and years of their time creating that algorithm, and then a big team of developers to kind of make that algorithm into action. But today, it's even a citizen developer can easily make use of services like Azure Cognitive Service and similar services to kind of make those kind of applications within maybe 5 or 10 minutes, right? All we need is a very essential, very basic knowledge of coding in some programming language, and that's and access to internet. That's pretty much it. 5-10 minutes, you end-to-end application that can transcribe, let's say, speech to text kind of an application will be ready. So the AI is kind of democratized, right, these days. Similarly, this when anywhere where we see this kind of a huge need for people to not only write business logic but also take care of several other tasks where they have to build integrations, they have to build web clients, they have to build and deploy the ledger, they want to make sure that those different parties that you see in this diagram interact with each other seamlessly. It's a huge task, right? So there's something that's needed to make it very easy. So that's another challenge that I would see as prevails when it comes to blockchain. So Microsoft, right, as I see it, helps us break down blockchain into 3 essential steps, which is you launch, and then manage the network, right? Which is when building a blockchain, the first step is to launch and manage a network. While that might sound very simple, but it's not really. It means deploying and managing, I would say, which word? Consortium. That would be the word. So many nodes, so many different places, right? A consortium network across cloud footprint of multiple different organizations. And that involves choosing, deploying a ledger, inviting members, assigning identities to different nodes, connecting different nodes, setting up permissions and whatnot. Then after the network is set up, it must be kept running and up to date with all the changes that are being made. And then the next second thing is model smart contracts. That's the core, right, of this blockchain technology, smart contracts, because that digitize the business workflows and ensure that all the partners that they are working are on board. So what it takes to create smart contracts, right? It creates, it takes developing, it takes testing. We need to make sure of version control, which we need to make sure of, keep iterating till they meet the actual needs of the business, or actual needs of all the business, all the network members. On top of that, every business will change, right, over a period of time. How we do business today is not the same how we did business, let's say 10 years back. And it's not going to be the same how we are going to do business maybe 10 years down the line, or even 1 year down the line, right? The business needs change. Now, when a business needs change, then the network owners must have the tools so that they can update these smart contracts very, very easily and very, very quickly. So that's another challenge when it comes to modeling smart contracts. And then building and extending this application is about, we need to work with tools, so that because this blockchain, right, it acts as an because it's immutable data layer, and it's the compatibility when it comes to integrating this with existing systems is kind of going to be very critical to enable the transfer of data to and from one specific ledger, and also to allow for the publication of your smart contract from the databases into your consuming applications. So these are the huge steps that kind of pose a lot of different challenges. So now, there is this service as your blockchain service, right? That was built to streamline these different steps, kind of one step towards addressing this challenge of complexity when it comes to creating a blockchain, right? So just wanted to give a quick introduction, and then I should be we'll be done with my presentation, right? So from the start, the Azure blockchain service kind of allows users to configure, to deploy, manage this network that we were talking about. Forming these networks are the foundations when it comes to blockchain applications in your cloud computing network, right? And once the network is up and running, for authoring, for creating the smart contracts, the modeling smart contract that we were talking about, we give a lot of tools, developer-oriented tools like Visual Studio Code and all that, so that they can create and test these smart contracts. And then the next thing is about build and extend this application. For example, making sure that the network communicates with data outputs, and we use systems to ingest, right, like your microservices and things like that. So Azure Blockchain has something called as a development kit that helps us in extending the application so that they can easily move to production. And it also gives a workbench so that it can easily help us prototype your application. Because when it comes to a blockchain-based solution that we're building, that we are trying to build these days, right? So what's important is giving that ability to prototype. It's giving that ability to create that proof of concept, because without that, it's going to be kind of very, very difficult for people to understand what the technology is all about, and kind of maintain the feasibility of the technology that we are talking about, that solution that we're kind of talking about. So to kind of give a very small example of what this can kind of achieve, I have another video. I will quickly share that video and bring that out and bring it back to the screen. Yeah. This is an insurance sector company. You know for yourself.
Specifically for motor insurance claims, is an incredibly lengthy and manual process that takes anywhere between 6 months to 3 years. At Addenda, we have the vision to use blockchain technology to allow the insurance companies to reconcile payments between each other. This helps them streamline their processes and have a transparency there, which we want to be. Addenda started with just me and Wayne, were two co-founders, and then shortly after Harsh joined us, our CTO. The main challenges that we had was that we had such an ambitious idea, and we had to prove ourselves through our clients, to our insurance companies. One of the main challenges that we had was that data had to be hosted locally here in the UAE, and luckily being as partners, Microsoft as partners, they had data centers here in the East, that was resolved by partnering up with Microsoft.
Data privacy has been always a very sensitive topic in the region. Microsoft Azure launched their data server in UAE, and that was a great blessing to us.
So at the beginning, you have an idea. Then you build the technology. and wait for your first client to work, which took some time. We sat down with our team and we explained to them the vision of ATAL. Then we realized that they had a cool program where they can provide startups with incentives, such as credits, which we were awarded. And then they continuously provided us with support in terms of strategic advice and technical advice. Then the first client joined and the first investor joins, and after a while, it grew. And what happened next is we have limited resources to satisfy all these clients. So there's always a challenge at every stage of a startup's life cycle.
We wanted the customer journey for sign up to be very seamless. And that is where your marketplace came into the picture, wherein we could see that users now or clients can simply sign up with just few clicks. We wanted the blockchain network to be isolated from the application itself. And that is where we use Azure DNS services, which makes the entire blockchain network private as compared to the application that we have.
As of today, we've had around 4,000 claims logged on our platform between 9 different insurance companies for the last few months. The insurance companies that are using our platform are properly digital. This means that no paper is being filed, and the manual work that's being done to manage the claims is cut down significantly. What used to take up to 6 months is now taking up to 10 days to reconcile payments between these insurance companies.
We're soon be using Azure to find patterns and frauds in motor recovery solution that we have, which will help underwriters and the clients that we have to identify frauds easily as compared to the manual process they have right now.
We receive a lot of support in technical information from Microsoft Azure, as well as mentorship in terms of the startup leadership. So we have a lot of exposure towards leading startups. Starting your own company can be an incredibly rewarding experience, but at the same time, it's a very challenging and could potentially be a draining experience. Having this kind of support from the Microsoft for Startups ecosystem allows me to focus more on building my product, have the peace of mind that my data is safe on the road out, and that I can mainly focus on building a perfect product Microsoft Word about.
So that's what's possible today, and that's a little bit piece about my thoughts and my observations around what could be the challenges and what could be the the opportunities when it comes to this technology that you people have explored for the past 4 days as a part of this learning program, right? I would like to kind of end with this small story which I keep, which kind of motivates me to learn more, motivates me to think more when it comes to anything in this world, right? And you might have heard the story or this analogy in multiple different places. It's about there is this person, a billionaire, a millionaire, who wants to build a ship for himself, and a ship, and he wants that ship to be the best ship that was ever built in this whole world. So he hired the top-notch architects, and he hired the top-notch engineers, mechanics, and all that, and put together, and then put a lot of money and in creating that ship, which is the best in the world. And it ran for a year or so. After that, there was a small technical failure that happened in the ship's engine. And all the top engineers and troubleshooters across the world flew into that to that port where the ship was grounded to find out what was the problem that's there in the engine of that ship, right? And no one were able to find it. And then finally, someone suggested a mechanic who's like a very old lady who stayed in the other corner of the world. And this person, the billionaire, called that lady and asked that lady's help. And that old, that mechanic, she came inside the ship, and then she looked and observed that engine for some time, maybe 20-30 minutes. And after that, she opened her toolbox and she took a hammer out of the toolbox, and then she just hit some part of that engine just once. After that engine started, the fault went away. Everyone were very, very surprised. They praised that lady a lot. And then after a month or so, that billionaire got a huge bill, a bill of like thousands of dollars for as charges for repairing that boat from that old lady. The billionaire was very surprised. Why, this much amount of money for just hitting the engine with just once with a hammer, right? So he went to that lady and he asked. And the lady said, "Yes, I only charged you $2 for hitting with the hammer, but the rest of the money is for the knowledge, for exactly knowing where exactly to hit in that engine." Right. So when you look at things, right, it's kind of very important to observe, and it's kind of very important to kind of identify where exactly to act and what exactly you can implement out of this this whole learning experience that you had in this whole week, right? So with that high note, I will I'll just the speech. So thanks a lot for all your time and your interest, and also for this great opportunity of calling me, because very few will get that opportunity, okay, to get to be associated with their alma mater and then kind of come and then speak about something that they are passionate about, right? So thanks a lot for that. Thanks everyone.
The participants, they have any participants, they have any questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
And I'll stop presenting my screen. If you have any if you want to kind of like, if you have any questions, or if you want to know about, know more about blockchain or what Microsoft Azure has in blockchain, you can always reach me. I put my email ID in the chat window, so you can always reach me and be more than happy to kind of help you out. So yes, for all your time and interest. Thanks.
And thank you, Jawahar, Ganesh, for handling this session. And this session is very more informative, and it's very useful for the participants too. And thank you once again on behalf of PhD department. I would like to thank very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you, Jawahar.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. And participants, the next session, it will be 11:45 a.m. and we will be having an feedback session that is validity session by 2 p.m. and the assessment test is also at 2 p.m. We have 25 MCQ pattern questions, and it will be shared during the session. And participants, you can go for break. Thank you, participants.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Prakash, sir. Sir, regarding we received that entire PPT, sir. Thank you, first of all, sir. And one more thing, that Balaji sir PPT that is missed, sir. So please, could you send?
No. Balaji sir PPT, it will be shared by today only.
Okay, sir.
Because this session 2 is taken by Balaji sir.
Okay. So integratedly you can send it.
Yeah, integrately it will be sent by today.
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir.
Because on the day one itself, Dr. Balaji, he said that I want to handle the session 50 days. So after completion of this, I will send the PPT like this. He said. By today evening, you can check Ahmed, so that
okay, sir. Thanks.
the thought of leaving all the PPTs you can able to see.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right. Thank you.